In this video, we'll be covering your responsibilities as a game master in Kult Divinity Lost, if you choose to venture down that shadowed path. Combat mechanics and action resolution will be explored in the next episode. For now, we're focusing on what makes Kult tick: fear, tension, and the slow erosion of hope. Kult is a horror TTRPG. That means running the game is a balancing act, like conducting a symphony of dread. You'll be constantly walking a tightrope between revealing and obscuring, between discomfort and player safety, between dread and the occasional, much-needed release of levity. Do it well, and your table will feel the cold breath of the illusion unraveling. Do it poorly, and you risk pushing too far, or not far enough. The core rulebook includes an excellent section on the horror contract, which we strongly recommend reading in full. But for the purposes of this video, here are 5 foundational points we found essential to running horror effectively. Before your first session, sit down with your players and establish clear boundaries. In horror, these are often referred to as lines and veils. A line is a hard limit, something that will not appear in the game under any circumstances. A veil is a topic that may exist in the story but will be handled off-screen or implied rather than described in detail. This isn't just a safety tool. It's a trust-building mechanism. When your players know what's off-limits, they'll feel safer leaning into the uncomfortable, even terrifying moments the story does explore. Kult deals with themes like abuse, trauma, existential despair, and the loss of bodily autonomy. You don't need to pull every punch, but you do need to know where not to swing. Horror is subjective. One player might be terrified of the sound of teeth cracking, while the other is a dentist who eats root canals for breakfast. Knowing your players helps, but no matter who you're running it for, there are some universal tricks of the trade. Atmosphere matters. Whether in person or online, dim the lights, light a few candles, and choose your music with care. Your players will follow your tone. Imply and don't show. The moment you describe the thing fully, you let the pressure out of the room. Instead, hint. Let their minds conjure the worst possible version. Trust us, they will. Invest them emotionally. Fear is amplified by connection. If your players care about their characters and each other, every threat feels personal. There's a reason Requiem for a Dream is more disturbing than most slasher flicks. It builds empathy before it breaks it. Tone is delicate. Building it takes time. One misstep can fracture the entire illusion. As a GM, you control the pacing of dread, when to give comfort, and when to rip it away. But the atmosphere is also a shared responsibility. One badly timed joke, a phone ringing, or a poorly placed snack break can shatter everything you've built. So, talk to your players beforehand. Make it clear. Everyone helps build the horror, and everyone helps protect it. That doesn't mean banning fun. It just means knowing when not to chase a laugh at the expense of tension. The payoff will be worth it. Kult is not for everyone. It is a game for adults with adult themes, and it should make your players uncomfortable, within the boundaries you've all agreed upon. Lines and veils are your safety rails, but within that space, you should push your players. Horror doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It lives at the edges, where fear becomes revelation and the familiar becomes wrong. So don't be afraid to be unpleasant. Your job isn't to just run a session. It is to unsettle, to disturb, and to create an experience that lingers long after the dice stop rolling. When the session ends, give your players a way back into reality. Don't undercut the climax, but once the story has wrapped, take a few moments to decompress. Turn the lights back on, kill the music, and let everybody breathe. Ask how they're feeling. This can be serious or lighthearted. Sometimes it's a casual chat about what just happened, and other times it might be a little more reflective. Either way, the debrief helps everybody transition out of the fiction and ensures you're all still on the same page emotionally. In a game like Kult, that matters. Kult Divinity Lost is built around a clear narrative purpose. The rules, the mechanics, and even the character options all exist to support 3 core objectives, the beating heart of what makes this game unlike any other. As the Gamemaster, your agenda is to uphold these 3 pillars during every scene, every session, and every breath. At the heart of Kult lies a terrifying truth. The world is a lie. The lives we live, the roles we play, the very fabric of reality. It's all a facade, a prison called the illusion. Your players may begin as ordinary people, but as the story unfolds, they'll start to notice the cracks, the inconsistencies, the things that don't belong. It is your job to slowly, deliberately, and relentlessly pull back that veil. Do it in whispers and not shouts. Let them feel the dread that comes from realizing the truth was always just out of reach, and that seeing it comes with a price. By the end, they should wish they'd never looked. As we covered earlier, Kult lives and dies by its tone. The atmosphere should be oppressive, dreamlike, threatening. You control the pacing like a conductor with a knife instead of a baton, deciding when to offer release and when to twist the tension until it sings. Pacing is everything. Some moments call for silence, others for chaos. Sometimes you let your players breathe, and sometimes you don't. But no matter what, the world must always feel wrong, just slightly off, like something is watching, waiting. If you master this, your game won't just be memorable, it will haunt your table. Kult is not a world that happens to your players. It is a story shaped by them. Every choice they make should matter. Their victories should feel earned, their failures should feel inevitable. And their actions, every last one, should ripple through the story in meaningful and lasting ways. Don't steal their agency. Don't railroad them into revelations or horror beats they haven't earned. But do make sure they face consequences. Real ones. Let them escape by the skin of their teeth after clever planning and lucky dice. And let them fall, broken and trembling, when hubris or desperation leads them down the wrong path. Let them be heroes, and let them be fools. But most of all, let them matter. The Kult Divinity Lost core rulebook offers more than just the metaphysical codes of the Archons and Death Angels. It also lays out 9 invaluable principles for GMs. These are not just rules. They're a philosophy of how to run horror that cuts deep, lingers, and leaves scars. The unnatural is most terrifying when it hides behind the normal. Don't reveal too much too fast. hint, mislead, and suggest. It is far more unsettling to suspect something is wrong than to see it spelled out. Why does the interior of the house measure 20 yards, but the outside, it's only 15? Why is a man in a suit standing across the street from your apartment every night at exactly 3 a.m.? Why does that little girl appear in every yearbook photo, even though no one remembers her name, and her face is always in shadow? That's the space where Kult lives. Atmosphere is fragile. Preserve it by staying in character and encouraging your players to do the same. Before play begins, create a ritual. Light candles, dim the lights, start the soundtrack, signal the shift. From here on out, it's not a dinner table. It's the world of Kult. Speak to each other as characters, use their names, stay in the fiction until the session ends. It might take some getting used to, but when everyone commits, the immersion is profound. As GM, you'll often make narrative moves in response to failed rolls or the flow of the fiction. But don't announce the mechanics, wrap them in story. If a player fails a roll, don't say, "You drop your gun," but say, "As you push open the door to room 3245, the flickering light bulb casts erratic shadows across the floor. You step in, revolver tight in your grip. Something scurries to your left, and just as you turn, a heavy blow strikes your wrist. The gun hits the floor, and standing in front of you, wild-eyed and panting, is the patient you've been hunting, now free of her straitjacket and clutching a lead pipe. The outcome is the same, but now it feels like horror. This applies to all mechanical effects, not just the failures. If a character takes damage, don't just say, "Endure injury with -1, but say, "Your chest erupts in pain as the jagged metal sinks into it. The blood pools fast. Breathing becomes a conscious act. You're hurt. Bad. Endure injury with -1. The fiction comes first, numbers later. Whether they're a bartender or a lictor in disguise, your NPCs need motivation. At minimum, give each one 3 notes. What is their strength? What is their weakness? And what do they want? You can always expand for major characters, but even a simple triad like this creates a sense of depth and helps you roleplay them with confidence. Even the most alien horrors have a purpose. Your players may encounter entities beyond comprehension, but those creatures still act with intent. Their logic may not be human, but it should exist. Show it in fragments. Let players notice the patterns. The horror becomes real when they start to understand it. You're not just delivering a story, you're co-creating it. Ask players how their characters express an advantage. Ask what memory drives a particular fear. When they answer, weave it into the narrative, recur it, weaponize it. You'll create characters that feel personal, alive, and vulnerable. This doesn't mean going easy on them. It means caring enough to let their choices matter. Celebrate cleverness, reward creativity. Let emotionally driven scenes breathe. If your players find an unexpected solution, embrace it. Horror hits harder when players feel like they've earned the light before it's snatched away again. Time doesn't freeze just because the camera is pointed elsewhere. Let the world move without them. Let choices have consequences. If they didn't go straight to the cultist's hideout but resupplied before, maybe the cult has already moved on. Maybe something worse has taken root. The world of Kult is alive. It shifts, it waits, it punishes those who hesitate. These 9 principles are more than just advice. They are your tools, your weapons, and your covenant with the game. Use them well, and your players won't just remember your sessions. They'll dream about them, or have nightmares. Kult Divinity Lost is structured around scenes. And while that may seem self-explanatory to anyone familiar with TTRPGs or screenwriting, it's worth taking a moment to clarify exactly what that means in play. The core rulebook defines it as, a scene is an uninterrupted section of story taking place in a single place and/or span of time. In practical terms, a scene is a focused slice of narrative. It has a purpose, a tone, and often a natural arc. The characters enter, something happens, and eventually the moment concludes. Here are some examples. A detective creeping through the halls of Little Hill Asylum under the cover of night, searching for room 3245 for a missing source. A corporate dinner at a high-end restaurant, where one PC tries to coax out details of a cover-up from an oblivious CEO. A chaotic high-speed car chase through the fog-choked industrial zone, punctuated by near misses and flickering red lights. Scenes typically end when the players leave a location, resolve an immediate conflict, or choose to skip ahead in time. But if the tension deflates or momentum stalls, it's perfectly fine for the GM to check in. It feels like this scene may have run its course. Would you like to move on? This small prompt can keep the pacing tight and ensure the story always flows towards the next discovery, confrontation, or breakdown. Remember, you're not just running a game, you're directing a descent. In Kult Divinity Lost, Gamemaster moves are the engine behind tension, challenge, and consequence. Unlike players, the Gamemaster never rolls any dice. Instead, the GM reacts to player choices and failed rolls by introducing obstacles, escalating threats, or shifting the narrative in unexpected ways. GM moves come into play in 3 main scenarios. When the players fail a move, when a player's action naturally grants the GM a move, or when the stakes need to rise to maintain tension. The structure of a GM move is simple and cinematic. Describe the obstacle and ask the player how they react. The players respond, describing their action. You narrate the consequence, based on their success, failure, or lack of action. Obstacles can be as mundane as a locked door, or as nightmarish as an escaped asylum patient wielding a scalpel. They can be physical, psychological, or metaphysical. Sometimes the obstacle isn't the challenge itself. It's what the obstacle reveals. Perhaps the illusion begins to break. Perhaps the creature in the mirror is not a reflection. Kult distinguishes between 2 types of GM moves, soft and hard. A soft move is a warning. It sets up danger, but gives the player a chance to react. The consequences are not immediate, yet. For example, the bouncer's eyes narrow. He mutters something under his breath and then throws a sharp left hook towards your jaw. What do? The punch is a soft move. The threat is real, but avoidable. The PC can act, duck, block, counterattack. The choice is theirs. A hard move, on the other hand, delivers a consequence directly. There's no more room for negotiation. The moment has passed, and the outcome lands. Hard moves often follow failed rolls, poor decisions, or unheeded warnings. Or a failed soft move. As you turn the corner, something slams into your legs. The headlights blind you, tires squeal, and you feel your body lift off the pavement and crash against the windshield before everything goes black. That's a hard move. The impact has already happened. There is no avoiding it. A good way to think about it is as follows. The soft move would be, the gun clicks and is raced towards you. What do you do? While the hard move is, the bullet punches into your side, heat floods your ribs, you're bleeding. Use both types of move to maintain a rhythm. Soft moves build dread, hard moves deliver the blow. Together, they create a push and pull of horror, the anticipation and the rupture. But be sure not to link too many hard moves together, as that might make your players feel like they are not in control anymore. In Kult, Divinity Lost, GM moves are the tools you use to shape the narrative, apply pressure, and escalate the horror. The following are examples provided by the core rulebook, and we added some flavor-rich scenarios to help you bring them to life. You hear your footsteps echo through the abandoned factory. Moonlight spills through the broken windows, and there is a metallic taste in the air. You didn't want to bring Thomas, but his lock-picking skills were invaluable. Suddenly, a loud clang behind you. An iron gate slams shut. Thomas on the other side. The gate does not budge. What do you do? The bass pounds in your chest. The light strobes make the cigar smoke curl in slow motion as Mr. Yates' lackeys close in. You spot a black bag thrown over Gemma's head, and she's dragged into the back room. Yates smiles behind his tinted glasses and says, "Now we both have taken something from each other. So, how about a trade? Your friend for my book." What do you do? Drenched in sweat, you awaken. 3:34 a.m. You reach for water and freeze. Doorway stands a woman, bent oddly at the hip, hair falling over her face, twitching. She's back. What do you do? You smash the bottle over the intruder's head. He drops. But when you release your grip, shards remain buried in your blood-soaked hand. The pain flares. Endure injury at -1. You exit the decrepit estate, relieved. Maybe your sister wasn't here. But then, guttural chanting drifts from the tree line beyond the garden. What do? You close the door silently. You just missed the guards. But you're in the nurse's break room now. Footsteps approach. Casual talk about the weekend plans. They're heading your way. What do? You round the stairwell at speed, grabbing the rail, but your grip slips. Time slows. Your wrist snaps under your weight, and then your ribs slam into the concrete. Endure injury with -2. Your apartment door is unlocked. That's not right. And there is no barking, nobody. You check the bedroom, and you collapse. You barely recognize what remains on the floor. Only the collar confirms it. Decrease stability by -3. You dodge under the entity's hook-like arms, but you hear metal slide across the floor. Your holster is now empty, and your gun lies at its feet. But you have a straight shot at the exit. What do? Sure, you can run the creature down with your car, but it's backed against a brick wall, so hit the creature And you're hitting the wall too. Do you want to go through with it? The receptionist quickly excuses herself to answer the call. She's out of sight. On her desk, a file marked Patient number 243, Miss Keller. This is what you came for. What do you do? Rifle braced, breath held. You've done this hundreds of times. Through the scope, you see your mark. He pulls open his curtains and smiles. Does he know? You lower the scope, and you see him holding a gun to your sister's head. What do you do? The demon smiles, not with her mouth, but with her entire face, her jaw stretching beyond her cheeks. Images flash before your eyes, a black tower, a spire in a sky like rotting teeth. What do? You spit into the sink, rinse, and look down. Your skin, it's peeling like wet paper. Blood coats the porcelain. Bone glints from beneath. What do you do? There it is, the green bottle. You haven't had a drink in days. You're just here for the information, but would it really look normal if you didn't order something? You raise your hand and catch the bartender's eyes. These are just a handful of examples from a wide toolkit available to GMs in Kult. Anything that is an obstacle or advances the story could potentially be a GM move. But for more, explore Chapter 5 of the core rulebook. In our next video, we'll explore conflict and combat, and how to turn even the smallest encounter into a moment of dread. Please let us know in the comments what your best advice is for running a truly unforgettable horror game. We'd love to hear how you twist a knife. If you would like to support what we are doing, please check out our Patreon. You'll find links to everything Kult Divinity Lost in the description below. Please support Helmgast, the creators of this phenomenal game. From all of us here at Lorefall, good luck. You'll need it. Remember, the algorithm is just another illusion. Like, comment, and subscribe to break it. Every click weakens the lie.